Mario Cruz, and LaShawn
Hello, good morning,
Addison.
everyone. This is Marquette. Good morning.
Did you want me to name them or you numbers?
Oh, name.
Name.
And Marquette Henderson, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's everybody currently on the BVC. Welcome, welcome. Yes. We also have here within DDS, there is myself, Sharon Von Roach, Jelani Smith, Olajuwon, Abby Masola, Antoinette, Nicole Green, and Mr. Reese. And our person who's hosting this is Charlisa. Oh, and welcome to Raven Everett. She's on the line as well. She is the policy intern, specifically assigned to Randolph Shepherd. And we're grateful for her being on board. She's been here about a week now and should be here through September. I'm gonna let her, I'm sorry, through April. Through April. I'm gonna let her talk a little bit about herself before we go on.
Well, my name is Raven Everett, as established. I'm here up until April working with the policies for Randolph Shepherd. I am a social work background, so I like to see the person in the environment in order to establish policies that are inclusive. I am also coming from a background of being visually impaired, so I think that provides a little bit of another unique perspective on social work, because I do have some of the lived experiences, but also wanting to change and advocate for individuals within communities that I am a part of.
Welcome and thank you. And I know one of the first...
I have a question. Will she be working with the BVC policy person? Will they be working with her on policy?
Yes, that is the goal. I saw an email where she, being Raven, has reached out to Mr. Henderson. So when they connect, they'll set up a meeting times to go over everything that she's reviewed and what she's provided comments on, and you guys will work hand in hand. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and proceed into the agenda, which I received from Ms. Bolden back in August, and want to add 2 things to it. And that is the first thing we've already introduced, Raven Everett. And then the budget piece, I'm going to try to provide that information on a monthly basis. And so I'd actually like Nicole Green to start off with that, for presenting where we are as far as the budget. And I think that might touch upon the pension as well.
Good morning, everyone. I'll be presenting the Randolph Shepherd financial reporting for the period of October 1st, 2024 through September 16th, 2025. The total vending income collected year to date is $822,305.79. Of this amount, we paid out vending payments of $1,039,000, assigned vending payments, $1,039,973.73. Then we went to pay the unassigned vending portion of it, which was $5,576,093.01, leaving a balance of $206,239.05 in vending income. As far as fair minimum return, there was no expenditures that was reported. Year-to-date expenditures for petty cash, $10,019.33. Year-to-date expenditures for management services, $29,800. Year-to-date expenditures for maintenance and equipment, $25,137.64. What's in the balance? And that is the unassigned pension that's remaining for this FY 25 fiscal year is $162,157.91. That, once dispersed, will be divided by 18 vendors. Please be reminded that this pension balance may increase or decrease depending on future deposits or expenditures. That concludes my financial reporting for this session.
Thank you, Nicole. Does anyone have any questions?
Well, this is Miss Bolden again. I don't have a question, but I would like for her to send me out a copy of that financial report. I don't know if it's my phone or yours phone. I'm not coming in real clear. So could I get a copy of that financial report? And then I may have some questions after I review it.
Yes.
This is Jerome Walker, and I think we all should. I think last month or the last meeting, we all got reports that included a recording of it.
Thank you, everyone. Once this meeting is concluded, I'll be emailing this to everyone. I'll be emailing the financial reporting to everyone.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. And we'll move on to the agenda item election. I know we talked about this at the VAL in great length, so are there any other issues about the election process?
No, I would like to say, Ms. Von Roach, have you all started the process of the next election? I mean, because, it takes a little while to get that together. I don't know if you started out with who will be counting the ballots or so forth and so on. Usually it's the Washington Metropolitan here does it. So we were just curious, have you started the procedure of the election? I mean, because there's going to be an election in February. This is September. So we were just curious, have you begun procedure for the election?
Thank you for the question. And yes, I reached out to David Warren with the Washington Ear. I understand the last time that the election process happened, Washington Ear was the nonprofit that received the ballots and then counted them. So I have been talking to him. I'm trying to work out a process internally because I can't find anything that's documenting what was actually done and how to proceed. I have a couple of things in mind, and I can briefly mention them right now. One is I created a draft mock ballot, basically germane to each of the 7 positions within the BVC. So for example, there are 19 of you, so 19 people where you could select a person for the chair, and then so on and so forth, vice chair. And then that way it's like a one and done election process. And of course, I understand we need to send you guys the ballots and with a self-addressed envelope that you send it over to Washington Ear. Okay, so that's one scenario that I have. The other scenario is just have a list of the 19 vendors, and then I would get that back from each of you and then do a rack and stack of, who got the highest, whatever, and then take maybe the 7 people and then send it back out again with that same scenario of assigning the 7 people per each position. The reason why I'm steering towards that is because of what has happened this year, and I don't know if it's happened before, but if somebody is no longer on the BVC, and then it's like, oh, well, who was next in line? And nobody's really specifically identified. But by going this route, you can actually see who you voted for on for each of the specific positions on the BVC. So that's kind of where I am right now. But yes, to your question, I am thinking about this and working on it because I don't want anything to happen that would cause delays for the February execution of the process.
Ms. Van Roach, may I say something? This is Ms. Cutaway here. Okay, in the past, when the vendors were elected, we were sent out papers after everyone was elected, showing who was elected and who was next in line. We had that information. This last procedure, we didn't receive that. So we didn't get that information it looks like the agency didn't keep with it either. So that's why we didn't really know other than what we remembered. But in the past, we had always received who was elected, everybody, all the run-ups, we always received that.
Okay, thank you for sharing.
Excuse me, this is Jerome Walker. It wasn't just the next person in line. So, if it's 19 of us and everyone got a vote, then that sheet should show each person and how many votes they received, because the next person might not be eligible, might not decide, or might decide that they don't want to participate. So the sheet would have to show, or what we're saving would have to show each vote that every person got.
Yeah.
Well, Ms. Von Rose, excuse me. This committee, we searched and searched to try to find a copy or something of who was Mr. Dan Propiter after Ms. Brooks left. He decided he did not want to be on it. So we tried to find out who was next. We called Washington Air and everywhere. We couldn't find it. We called you. We called the agency. But to my memory, I think it was Mr. Stevenson that was next after Dan Propiter, but I'm not sure. So we didn't know. So we appointed Mr. Stevenson on the committee. We couldn't find out from anyone who was really actually next after Mr. Propiter.
Hi, this is Andy. Can I just make a statement? I appreciate the BVC's interest in following the wishes of the vendors at large in selecting a BVC member to replace the person who left. However, there's no, and your request to see the full election results and for us to document and maintain the full election results makes perfect sense, and we should do that. However, the regulations and the policy or the bylaws, I'm not sure where, but the requirements regarding a selection of a new BVC member leaves it exclusively to the discretion of the current BVC to select a new member. And like I say, if your choice is to say, we should just pick the next person that the vendors at large voted for, that's your discretion, that's your decision. You could also say the vendors at large, next in line person was this person, but we as the 6 remaining members of the BVC prefer to choose someone else. That is your decision. So just so you're aware of that. Going forward, I agree absolutely. It makes no sense that we do not have and do not maintain the full election results, and we need to make sure that we do that in February.
Great, that was great to hear from you, Mr. Reese.
Thank you.
Okay, so we'll move on to the next item, communication and transparency.
Well, what we had decided, there has not been a lot of transparency with us. And we're asking the agency if they would do that and communicate with us on things so that, in other words, we were saying that if everyone should be notified of anything that's going on with the agency or with us, everyone should be notified. And anything that comes up, we should be notified of it, not find out later something from another vendor or whatever, but we should be, all vendors should be notified. And transparency.
Okay, received, and I know we talked about this at the last meeting as well. And if it's something that's, I want to say like germane, sure, we can share the information, but if it's something that is quote unquote confidential to a particular vendor, we will not share.
We don't expect you to share that with us. If it's confidential, we didn't expect you to share it with everyone. That's confidential with whoever the vendor is in the agency.
All right, well, so it sounds like we're on the same plane. I guess the only thing that might be up for debate is I've scheduled these meetings that I will be meeting with representatives from your community every month. So every other month it will be BVC. Every other month it will be the VAL. So communication should be strengthened at that point. And because you guys will be sitting in on the VAL meetings as well, if you elect to, you'll actually be hearing the information twice. So my question is, because I know that we discussed this last time, was you all have your own meetings. And so we were talking about, you know, I got mixed responses back from the VAL of what you guys shared or didn't share. So again, I don't have a leg in that race, if you will. But like I said, with these meetings now occurring every month, communication will be strengthened on our part.
I'd like to add something, if I may. One of the things that we were concerned about the transparency part of this is, one of them is the micro markets, and they being, how can I say it? They being bidded on as primaries. Most of us had no knowledge of that, you know, that it has became a policy, or this is what is done from now on. When it was time for us to bid on these micro markets, some people had that information and other people didn't. So when the call down occurred, some people just didn't have that information, and that wasn't fair to those people, because it wasn't brought to us as the vow. The whole vow did not receive that information. And maybe if you guys check your emails, you may see that some of us did not receive that information, and we should have received it. So that's a part of our concerns with the being transparent.
Okay, in regards to the call down, as previously discussed, we had a person that was, what's the word I want to use? We had a new person, and then we had someone that was displaced. So those two people got first preference in the call down of what they could choose. And so that's where the micro markets came
They could have all bid on the micro market. And they did. And can I just say, I'm sorry, I don't believe that anyone in this BVC can say that we haven't discussed the issue of micro markets being a primary. People have complained about this issue regarding Nicole Wright Taylor, and I don't come to every meeting, but every meeting I've been in, I've heard people complain about the fact that she has a primary that's a micro market. Right. So how could the people of the BVC not know it? And we had a whole vendor at large meeting discussing the call down. I admit I would have to go back and listen to the recording, but I'm fairly certain that we would have said it in that meeting as well. Yeah. However, there's no one in the BBC. Now, if you're advocating for someone else, fine. There's no one in the BBC that can claim that the information regarding people bidding on a micro market as a primary, there's no one in the BBC that can say they haven't heard that. We've discussed it repeatedly. I have said there's nothing, micro markets are vending facilities. They are unstaffed vending facilities. They can be your primary or your satellite. We have said that repeatedly. And people have said, we think they should be treated as vending machines. And our response each time has been that the regulations define micro markets as unstaffed vending facilities, and therefore all the rules regarding vending facilities apply to micro markets. So to suggest that we haven't been transparent about that, I don't understand. If you have another example, that's fine. And as Sharon said, I'm really happy to hear you're meeting monthly, and that's an opportunity for more discussion. But on this issue, I don't get it. I think that was transparent.
Thank you, Mr.
Reese.
Thank you. Can I?
Excuse
me, Miss.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Excuse me. Let me respond to him. You know, and I was just speaking on the transparency as far as things being written, because as long as things are being said and they're not written, then we're taught to go by what we read and what's in print. We never saw it in print to say that, okay, this procedure or policy or whatever has been changed. You know, we were in court about it, trying to get a definite answer on it. So I'm sorry if I didn't understand, because at the time I didn't understand, and few people in the BVC and the VAL, they didn't understand either. So if it were written, then everybody could have read it, and we would have known that this is what it is now. Until we see it in print, then we just speculating and guessing. So that's what we were speaking on.
Yes, and I agree.
29 DCMR 299, you'll find it in print. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Ms. Bolden. Excuse me.
No. I was just saying that I agree with Mr. Henderson and what he just said. We are just as frustrated and tired of going over about call down ourselves. So we only wanted to express that what Mr. Henderson said about putting it in writing so everyone would get that information, not just someone who calls down to the agency and says, oh, can I vote on this as a primary? I mean, you know, we want it in writing to every vendor. Anything that comes up that we need to know about, we would appreciate it very much if the agency would put it out to all of us, every vendor.
Okay. So can I just say, I don't know if Raven mentioned in her introductory remarks, she's a social work student, and as a social worker, I'll be supervising her. So we will make a priority taking a look at the call down policies to make sure that they're current and that we all understand them. And I know that Raven I know she reached out to Mr. Henderson. And so one of the things she's looking at is, what are the priorities in terms of clarifying regulations or policies? Sorry, not regulations. She has enough on her plate to look at policies over the next 7 months. And so Raven will make sure that that's one of the ones she prioritizes.
This is Ms. Brooks. May I say something, please? Hello?
Yes, go ahead, Jesse.
Yes. This is regarding inventory. Can we get some clarification on how the inventory is to be done? Either it's going to be done wholesale or retail. We need that in writing going forward. How is it going to be done? Because it's been changed back and forth, and that's not fair to all vendors.
I think it's always been wholesale, but we will make sure.
It's always been wholesale.
Yeah, it's always been wholesale, but we will make sure and check to see, this is really helpful, but these are the kinds of things. I don't know if Mr. Henderson has a committee or if it's just him. These are the kinds of things that he should reference with Raven, and she'll have her list. She's here 3 days a week. And so, feel free to make sure that she stays busy in those 3 days per week. But these are the kinds of things,
Yeah,
it's a really good
I have
point
it
to bring
written
up.
down.
It's like, you know, we think we know it's always been wholesale.
Yeah.
But then you're like, okay, I always say this too. Where is it written?
Mr. Reese,
Yep.
may I say something, Mr. Reese? It was not always wholesale. Trust me, it was not.
Okay, that's why we need to make sure it's written down.
Thank you.
Thank you for raising that. Okay. Let's move on to the next item. It says receiving appropriate materials for vendors.
That is, last year, we had a meeting on May the 21st of was it last year? Yes. Mr. Reese, we asked you if you could give us the material that anything comes from the A to B and a format that each vendor could read. And you told us then that you could do that and you would do that. I think Karen called around after the meeting one time and asked, and we have yet to see that material, that anything coming from the agency to the vendor, that it comes to in the format that each vendor needs it in. And we have asked for it in cassette, braille, or large print. So we remember.
In fact, we received that from you, and every single vendor, if I'm not mistaken, asked for large print. And every single time I write an email or write any document, it's in large print. Every time a document comes to me for signature, it is in large print.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I don't know if it's my phone or you guys, but I didn't quite hear it. I mean, isn't that one of the regulations that we receive all material and whatever format that we should have it in or need it in?
From my understanding, everyone requested large print. And from my understanding, unless there's specific examples where this isn't occurring, we have been providing it in large print. Even in electronic format, where the person who receives it themselves could bump it up to large print, we still put it in large print. I do it every time before I send an email, before I write a letter, and anytime something comes to me for signature, I make sure of it. If there are specific examples where something has slipped by and someone hasn't done it, you know, you can.
Well, I asked for it in auto and tape, and I have yet. Karen asked me what I wanted it in, and I told her I have yet to receive any material and autos, and I don't think any other vendors have received it in what they have asked for. Any material in the material.
May I say something? Mr. Reese.
Yeah.
Mr. Reese, I think she's referring to the fact that some people are totally blind. And if you send it in large print, that still doesn't help that totally blind person.
I get that. The thing is, when we asked, the sheet that came back said large print for everyone. Because people could have said,
Oh.
I know there's
Well, I
one
would say,
vendor.
now, let me just interrupt. There were a few vendors who had Braille, and I can't remember the specific vendors, but there were maybe 1 or 2 vendors that had Braille and hard copy, sent directly mailed to them. But I mean, majority of the vendors were email and large print. And even with some of those vendors who asked for hard copies, wanted emails and large print. So majority of them requested large print and emails.
Okay, so we need to make sure that
right
we're,
here, January 30th, 2025. So the first thing that y'all requested was emails, large print, Braille, JAWS, etc. So emails was the primary means of communication. It's in the email dating back with Daryl Evans, Karen Whittington, Andrew Reese, Jelani Smith, Abby Masola, and myself. And what y'all wanted was email as the #1 primary method of communication.
that's before we had this discussion.
Yes.
That predates this discussion. So I apologize. My understanding, because it really surprised me, because you're right. Some people are blind and it doesn't matter what font you put it in, they're not going to see it. And my understanding at the time was someone said all large print, which didn't make sense to me, but I would respect what people requested. I'll make sure we see what that says. Also, though, when it comes to recordings, these meetings are all available online. Are you asking for like a cassette tape of every communication?
Like Miss Emily used to do.
Because I know we've done this. I mean,
I would like to have because see, it doesn't take much. If you record something, there's recorders out that all you have to do is make one tape, and it could record 2 or 3 tapes at the same time. So it's not difficult to do that. The Braille machine will also type out more than one copy, and you can copy it in the Braille writer. So, I mean, I'm just saying that it's not difficult to record something on a cassette tape or something, because you can do it one tape and then you can copy. That's the word I'm trying to find. You can copy from that one tape.
We still got them?
so let me just clarify, because for example, this meeting is recorded and we can send you a whatever it is that you can listen to from your email. Do you not have access to that technology? Are you asking for us to have a video cassette recorder?
Yes,
or
I'm asking.
an audio
That, and
cassette recorder?
there is one that you could do that. You can record a tape, and then there is a recorder that will record that tape more than once. Yes, I had one like that.
This is being recorded right now. That's what I'm asking. When someone asks for, which is a reasonable accommodation for someone to say, I want it in a recording as opposed to any kind of printed or Braille. But we do have recordings that are available online. Does that meet the needs that people have?
This is Jerome Walker. I have a comment. As you said, Mr. Reese, everything that's recorded, we can get those recordings through our computers. And I'm not very good at it, but I have someone who helps me to do that. But I think we should ask the financial person, because the last meeting we had, just like today, she suggested after the meeting that she was going to send us all copies of the report. Well, the last time she did that, there was also a voice message to that report. I don't know what she did, how she did it, but it could be that simple, because that's different from our recorded meetings. But the documents that you all would send to us, whether it's emails or large print, she did something that enabled me to read, to hear that report in her voice, it sounded like.
She's right here, so she can tell us what she did.
We use the Immerse Reader on our Outlook, so whenever we send out email messages, I use the Immerse Reader. So it's a functionality for people who are hard of hearing or blind.
And you did this with your Excel
Outlook,
spreadsheet.
In Outlook, there's a functionality that you can just hit, and it's called Immerse Reader. And you just indicate that, and then once it sends out, whenever anyone receives it, they'll be able to listen.
Would it work for like a MP4 or like a MP3 file, or would it only work?
No, it's not a file. It's a feature in Outlook.
But if we're sending the recording attachment or recording link, how would it kind of?
Well, they can get the
No, you
recording,
got-
they can listen, it's just when we send
Recording is
documents.
recorded, but when you send documents or you just want to
So they're talking
send.
about just the documents, not the
Yes,
meeting? Okay.
yes.
So any document we send and.
Or any memo that you draft in email, it can be read out loud when they open it.
If you click Immerse Reader.
Yes.
on
So we will make sure that everyone here gets a little brief training from Nicole on how to make sure that every time we do a document or an email, that we enable that so that people that want the document read, it will already be enabled when they receive the document.
Yes.
But, you know, Mr. Reese, I cannot read or see anything, now. And I would like to be independent and be able to read my own material that comes from the agency. And that right now I have to get someone to read for me. And I think that there is a regulation that we should be receiving our material and the format that we can read. I'm telling you, I find myself not wanting to have to depend on someone else to read an email or something. I would like to.
This is why I'm saying that we would enable a feature that the email would be read to you verbally, orally, when you receive it. So the emails would be read to you, any document we send would be read. And it may be, I don't know, does the person need to do anything when they open the document?
No.
So it just,
It's automatic.
okay. So I don't
We
know
all
if you
computers.
received, so did you receive the fiscal report from Nicole last month? And were you able to hear that?
No, I had someone to read my report.
So Nicole, you just sent it. So Nicole just emailed today's report to everyone. When you click on email, use that as a test to see that you're able to hear it. So you should probably have it in your email right now.
So maybe just take a minute,
Yeah.
open if you have access to your computer, many people are on their phones.
I don't use a computer. I'm back in the Flintstone ages. I'm sorry, but I'm not a computer.
So you don't have a computer in order to be able to read emails?
No, I have a computer, but I don't use computers. I don't know how to. And that's by my choice, so don't say, I should. Please don't say, well, you should be. No, I shouldn't be, do what I want,
Listen, we're all of an age. I see people walking around with those watches on that are connected to everything in the world, and I'm not interested in that. So no judgment from me. I just want to make sure that we're getting things to you in a format that works.
Right, thank you.
So correct me if
You
I'm
said
wrong.
Nicole just sent that email?
Did
Hello?
you say, could you repeat whatever you said? I couldn't hear you.
Okay, you said she just sent that email?
Yeah,
And I
yes, ma'am.
clicked on it.
Okay.
I clicked on the email. Is there something you should go to find that?
She just clicked on your email.
Is there another step?
No, it should just be automatic.
There's a tool at the top. It says read aloud. So it depends on if they see that.
What page on the green finance?
Okay, it's not doing it though. Mine is not. The financial report, correct? Would that be the financial report that she sent? Hello?
Yes.
Okay, I'm on the financial report, but it doesn't read to me. It doesn't speak.
They probably don't. Read. Automatically enable read aloud feature Outlook by first checking the show read aloud option, the file option.
So we're gonna look into this and make sure that everyone knows how to enable this function, so that people can, have easy accessibility to the documents that are. And we'll also keep in mind for people that are not receiving them in that same format, how we will make them available to you.
There is an option to turn on the read aloud function automatically, but you may need someone to just assist you initially with just turning that feature on your computer, and then moving forward, when you receive your emails, it should be able to do it for you. But I'll include sending those instructions with the recording.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Okay. Thank you for that discussion. The next item is, says pension money.
That I think someone was questioned that about the pension money. Marquette, who was that question that? Okay.
Who questioned? I believe that was. I believe that was when we were told that there was so much money in the pension that we would receive like 17,000, and like she just mentioned that it could be higher or lower, but we just didn't understand how that we could be told one number that divided by 19 vendors, it should have came out to a certain amount. And once we did the calculations, it came back a lot, like $5,000 less than what we had all calculated. So we didn't understand what was taken out of our unassigned, and it wasn't. We didn't understand. It wasn't explained to us where we could understand the deduction that was left.
Hello, guys.
This is Jerome Walker. I'd like to include that in today's reading, I don't remember the number, but I'm going to guess that there was a number I heard that was $162,000 to be divided amongst 19 of us. And then it was said that could go up or down depending on the fees. So if so that's, I think that needs to be explained, and that might be what happened last time, but that I never heard that before, and so that makes a difference.
Hello, everyone. This is Nicole Green again, and my apologies for just the miscommunication, but at the time of those reportings, we were still in the earlier stage of the month, and we were still prepping the July's assigned pension payment, assigned commission payments. So unfortunately, the numbers were overstated. Once we made that payment of, I think, a little bit over $100,000, then that amount was deducted from the collected third-party vendor checks. So, and as today, we stated that we have $162,000 that's available, but keep in mind, you guys have been going on travel, and if there's any other petty cash expenses will be deducted from that pot of money. We only have one general pot of money, and all of that is subtracted.
May I ask a question? You said the travels have, yeah, that's going on travels, but I thought the pension money wasn't supposed to be travel. That's what we're paying levy for. What are we paying levy for?
All right. That's the first time
All
I've ever heard
right.
of that.
That's not supposed, the pension money is not supposed to be taken out of the pension for travels.
You're correct.
It was never done.
Let me just say, you're correct.
So
And hold on a second so that they can explain, because what you said is what I just muted to say as well.
So
Pension money is unassigned vending.
yes.
We collect it, we pay it to them. 100% of unassigned vending goes to the vendors. 100% of assigned vending goes to the vendors.
So just to be very clear, the number that was quoted in the last BVC concerning pension also included assigned, and that was the error. So that's why when she said it was overstated, it included assigned and unassigned. So that's the apology. It was overstated and it won't happen again.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
And the accounting that you get today should explain all that? Should
Yes.
have the details?
Yes, it does.
So the spreadsheet you received today has those details, and you can look at them, and then if there are questions, you can send those questions in.
Last item on your list, it says Switzer Building.
What did you say, Ms. Von Roach? I didn't hear.
On the next that you presented was discussion around the Switzer Building.
I didn't hear that.
It broke up, Ms. Roach.
The discussion, the last item is the discussion of the Switzer bill. You got something that you want to address regarding the Switzer bill?
I'm
this is
having
Marquette.
hearing.
Ms. Marie, they're saying that the next thing on the agenda is the Switzer Building. And we had a meeting yesterday about the Switzer Building. So some things that were of concern were discussed and assessed, and you're dealing with those situations. But one part of it was the inventory in and inventory out process that we haven't completed yet, and we're wondering why. Because if it's two different facilities, then you could have two different monitors doing two different things, and basically, like say if I'm leaving OPM, and Jelani is the monitor at OPM who's doing the inventory out there, and Mr. Epps is the monitor at the Switzer Building, and he's doing the inventory in and out there. Sometimes things, one person can be ahead and one person can be slightly behind, and maybe that's the situation here, but we need to communicate and get these things taken care of so that the process won't be slowed down or held up.
Yeah.
Hi, Mr. Walker, Mr. Henderson, this is Jelani. So of course, the issue with me doing the inventory out at OPM was something, it was something we really didn't, we normally didn't do, because we have the inventory company that we normally schedule this process through. However, at that time, we couldn't have them. So, in order to get you processed out, or at least have the facility closed at that time, I had to take on that. But Switzer is separate. Olajuwon is going to have the actual company come in and do the inventory for the location. I guess it's just a matter of just making sure all of the inventory is there and the availability. But that's a separate situation from what I had to do at OPM. And at OPM, I am pretty much done. It's just that all of the receipts that you gave me were duplicates. So a lot of the items were not on the inventory receipts that you provided me. So trying to get those through other means in terms of working with the inventory company to get other receipts. So that way I could use that as a reference. So that way I could finalize the inventory.
And also, Mr. Henderson, I want to say that I cannot bring the inventory company in without the inventory being in the location. So once you, like we spoke about yesterday during the meeting with me, you, Ms. Roach, and your wife, Mrs. Henderson, once you get the inventory in, we can do the inventory, but we cannot do inventory in with Ms. Miles' product still there. You haven't put any inventory in the location for us to inventory in at this time.
Could you explain that again? I didn't quite understand that.
May I ask the question there? May I please ask the question?
Go ahead, Jesse.
Okay. You said you can't do the inventory without him bringing the inventory in. Now, did you give him money to purchase that inventory?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Either you give him, if you give him the money to purchase that inventory, what you can do is inventory Miss Miles' inventory and add on the amount of money that you gave him, and that would complete that inventory.
Inventory, right.
That would complete it. Am I right, Miss Nicole?
That's the way it's supposed to be.
Mr. Reese would know that more better than any of us.
Well, she's a finance person. That's why I asked her. Am I correct on that?
All right.
Because that would complete. If you gave Mr. Henderson, say, $5,000, and you're going to inventory whatever Miss Eunice had left in there, and say hers come to $4,000. You add those two figures together, which would give you the complete inventory which he is taking in, because whatever he purchased will cover whatever you gave him.
That's right.
Unless he added more to it, and then that would be money on his part. Am I correct? Am I correct or am I wrong?
You are correct for me.
No, I want the agency to answer, please.
Yeah, you're correct.
You sound correct to me, yeah. I think the challenge here was that the facility was closed for a period of time so that I think, but I could be mistaken. Please correct me if I'm wrong. I'll mute for a second so they can correct me more directly if that's what they want to do, the way I've been doing. But anyway, the challenge is because the facility was closed for a while, it would be unfair to have an inventory in for a person with product that expired and we threw away. So there does need to be, now, we don't need to have an inventory in after he purchased, but we do need to have an inventory in that accurately reflects goods that were available to be sold when he arrived in the facility. Right?
Exactly.
So, like if there were perishables and the place was closed for a month, he can't be considered responsible for those unless when moving in, he gets to deduct all of that as a business expense because it's all waste. But I think we're taking the waste would be my guess. Yeah. And we just need to make sure that we have an accurate inventory in and then add on top of it, we gave him this much in cash. So when he leaves, he's responsible for that much in cash going to the next person.
Well, it's not that much in cash. You do not add the petty cash to that. You only add whatever money you gave him in inventory. Your petty cash should be separate.
Separate, right.
Correct. That's correct. Okay, no, that's true. They're two different numbers, but those two numbers added together because when it came to me, it was petty cash and inventory, but all of that is funds he'd be responsible for. Petty cash
Exactly.
needs to be at the same level, and then the cash he received is on him. But we do, it is challenging. Normally, you would have an inventory in, inventory out, because you would do it in a day. Close down the facility, count it up, the person that left had this much, the person coming in had the same amount. This one's a little unique because there were some issues and then the facility needed to be closed for a period of time. And it would be unfair to hold him accountable for product that was wasted.
So you eliminate that from his product, and whatever you know won't be expired from the time when he gets ready to go in, and he can use like, say, tissues or whatever like that. You put that on his inventory, and don't put what's going to go outdate or what's already outdate, and add the money that you already gave him to that inventory, to that, and that's what he would be responsible for going out.
You're right.
Along with his cash.
You're correct.
And
Hold on
isn't
one
those
second.
numbers already set? Aren't those numbers already set? As I listen, so the person who's inventorying out now, when they came in, I'm just going to use round figures. If they inventoried in at $10,000, then the next person should have that amount in his inventory. I mean, keeping the numbers even. So when you do the inventory and it's only $4,000 for inventory, then the person who left out is responsible for that $6,000. I mean, it comes through the agency, so the agency provides me with what I should have in coming into that location, and that negative should come from the vendor who left to the agency. I shouldn't have to be a part of that.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's true. That's not a problem, and that's the reason we do the inventory in and inventory out, is that when someone leaves, whatever the difference is between the amount that was there when they got there and the amount that's there when they leave is evened up. Either the agency pays them or they pay the agency.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
That should never be a part. In other words, when we say petty cash, that should never be a part of it. I mean, my petty cash shouldn't be assigned to my inventory.
No, but petty,
to get in.
In that there's an amount of petty cash that should be available when the person leaves. They don't go away with the petty cash. The petty cash would be there, and we would make sure that it increased to the amount of petty cash that needs to be available to run the facility.
Okay. This is a good example of why these meetings are so important.
Yeah, and may I say something that's not on the agenda? Hello?
Go ahead, Jesse.
Okay. I just wanted to point out, in the past, Karen had always had a company to come around and service the coolers. It's very important because my cooler pretty much broke down, and you're going to end up having a compressor problem or some other problem. It was full of lead and debris. So if those coolers are not serviced at least once a year or every 2 years, those coolers are going to go out, and you're going to have to end up with a compressor or another cooler.
Do you know the name of the company that did this?
That did mine, it was somebody in my building did mine for me. I don't know who Karen had doing them. I don't know who Karen had coming out doing them, but she used to have a company coming around, but I don't know who that company was.
I'm still on mute.
We'll look into that. Thank you.
Ms. Jesse, are these for these coolers? Are your refrigerators you're speaking about?
Yes. Yes, so if you pull those covers off, you will see all kind of debris and dirt. It's like clogging up the compressor and all of that. If you don't get it out of there, sooner or later that compressor is going to go out.
Well, I can say that we are working with operations to pretty much apply another company, another general contractor. That way we won't be so overwhelmed with the one we have. And we can also start doing preventative maintenance stuff like that as well.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, well, thank you very much for attending today's BVC meeting. We appreciate it and have a wonderful day.
You too, thank you.